So look, it's a question that I am often asked, and believe me, I have asked myself the same question many times. How do I know that I'm actually an INFP? How do I know that I'm not instead an ENTJ who is stuck inside of his ISFP subconscious and then as a result of taking too many psychedelics has the misconception that I'm an intuitor instead of a sensor? How do I know that that's not actually what I am? To be honest, it's very difficult to know, and I probably will never know the answer to this question. Let me know in the comments if you want to let me know which one you think that I am. I have done all these different tests, and I almost always, if not always, get INFP. But as we all know, it's better to be typed from someone else, especially a stranger, because they're not biased. Like, there's this woman who walks up and down my street. I think she's senile. I shouldn't say that, but there's something. She just walks up and down the street and stops at every house, and she's lonely. I talk to her. But maybe I should ask her, what do you think my personality type is? Because she'd have a better idea, because she's got no bias. She doesn't know who I am. All she's got is who she sees, and that is the most accurate way to type someone. So for instance, I'm doing a YouTube channel. I'm talking to a camera. I'm putting myself out there. Extrovert. That's simple. I'm using my hands moving around. I'm talking. Extrovert. I don't know why anyone would argue this fact. You know, when I first got into the Myers-Briggs stuff quite late in life, my INFJ friend, he got INFJ, I got INFP. We discussed what the differences are, and he got really annoyed. He kept yelling at me, do the fucking test again, because it really affected this INFJ friend that I was an introvert, because he was, to him, it's like, no, you're an extrovert. You're a fucking extrovert. You know? He was taking it way too seriously. How could I be an INFP, he said, because I was always talking all the time. It's interesting because I was no one would have doubted that I was an introvert as a young boy, as a young man, right up until about 23. I think I was well known as an introvert who makes things a bit awkward and sooks too much and goes off by himself all the time. And, had to go and recharge all the time from any social situation, and was always in a bad mood, didn't talk much, didn't reach out to people. But, as I got older, I found it was easier to force myself to be more myself in social situations. I found that people prefer to know the real weird you than just seeing a guy who not only is sensed to be a weird person, but isn't giving you anything, isn't talking. So I felt that people disliked me more when I was very quiet at that time, when I was like in university, So I over the years, I forced myself to drink more and talk more, and sometimes to bad effects. Sometimes that made people dislike me more, but it all evened out in the end. And I'd say as I've gotten older, I've got a nice balance of being a more introverted acting person who is able to converse. It took a long time to get here. But but to the INFJ, I was an extrovert. And I think what I thought I would do in this video is discuss the 4 types of extroverts and introverts, because I don't think the letter system is very useful at all. People start getting into the little cliques thinking, oh, look at you, you're an I. I'm an I as well. You're a P. Are you a T or an A? It's a bit dumb. The whole thing's a bit dumb. But introversion, extroversion is a thing. I don't put too much into it. Like, to me, I'm not gonna... I think as an INFP, I'm much more similar to an ENFP than an INTP or an ISFP most of the time. I don't think the introversion, extroversion thing makes a big difference at all. And so I think for an INFJ, they're an introverted intuitor. That's their main function. So to them, if that's their main function, that's their core, it really matters to them. So to see an INFP with their extroverted intuition in their second slot, being all haphazard with ideas, and it can create probably a vibe, I think, that INFPs might be extroverted from an INFJ's point of view. ISFJs seem to see that I'm an introvert a bit more. I don't know, maybe because they've got introverted sensing at their core and they're sensing my introverted sensing. So from an ISFJ's point of view, maybe they think that an INFP is introverted, a bit more likely to think that. With INFJs, even though I don't really question that they're introverted, when I was younger, the different INFJs I would know, I'd be very surprised at their focus on social situations, wanting social situations, inviting people to their houses, social gatherings. used to blow my mind with INFJs that they are so focused on social things, whereas I was always avoiding. I would never create a party. I would never create a gathering. To this day, it would never happen. So it's an interesting misunderstanding, I think. I suppose this must happen with. I'm trying to think of other equivalents. Let's take an INTP. They're possibly going to find an what's the word? INTJ. Maybe they'll find an INTJ to be a bit extroverted because of their extroverted thinking. I don't know. But I just thought I would ask, I'd put it out there. Do you also feel like there's 4 different introverts and extroverts and they're all very different? Like an ESTJ and an ENTJ. They often do come across as very extroverted, the way they project themselves. But it's also interesting when you think of the fact that they're an introverted feeler as their inferior function, and that's a big part of them. And their extroverted feeling side, expressing feelings, is a demon slot. So they're not really valuing that at all. So when an ENTJ or an ESTJ, they're quite different actually. But an ESTJ to me comes across as very extroverted in a very certain kind of way. What's another example? ENFJs always come across as pretty extroverted to me instead of ESFJs. They can't help. I mean, the extroverted feeling core types, the ESFJs and the ENFJs, that's quite a lot hard. It's a lot harder to see them as introverts, isn't it? But you never know. So I guess what I'm saying is I like to think of it as there are 4 functions and they are introverted or extroverted. And depending which one is your main function is whether you're an introvert and extrovert in a very specific way. So leave me a note in the comments. Do you think I'm an ENTJ stuck in my ISFP shadow taking magic mushrooms and became an INFP? Or do you think I'm actually an INFP? Or, who knows? Who knows what the truth is? I don't know what the truth is anymore.